understand if we have not actually missed anything in terms of this framework, or maybe we can improve it still, because as you know, this will be also the backbone of the system that will be for supporting for the policymakers and also other users, researchers, and other categories of users in terms of the technical side or AI supported side. So let me first start with this more detailed introduction of the determinants of electiveness of LMPs, but to underline the session name. I think what we really want to do is to discuss the framework, propose in terms of the LMP's effectiveness, different categories, as you will see, for focusing on the conditions that make these interventions more or less successful. So it means we want to understand what works for whom and why, in a sense, as every analysis of determinants of effectiveness of policies does. But we want to go really deep into understanding what works for different groups and under what conditions, as you will see from our proposed framework in more detail. So I will want you then to consider this and to share your perspective on whether these determinants are comprehensive and analytically robust, and how we can use them to further improve the system. For the start, we are this work is a part of the work package one, where we want to understand the complexity of this labor market policy effectiveness factors, and we want to build an evidence-based. And as you can see, this was done under one of the tasks where we want to identify the key determinants of effective LMPs, especially for skills matching, because as Flavia said, there are also other LMPs that do not directly address the issue of skill matching. So what we did actually was a robust analysis of the existing evidence, not only or more less so theoretical backgrounds, but rather empirical evidence from evaluation studies, from research in terms of the effectiveness of LMPs on the national, individual, per practice level, but also including existing systematic reviews and existing meta-analysis. So we gathered quite a lot of these materials, did some pre-selection quality check, and then analyzed all of these studies in depth, and trying to synthesize, of course, these different factors that can influence the effectiveness of active labor market policies. So we gathered quite a lot of documents, for example, 202 individual LMP studies from different timescales. After quality check, 147 built the backbone of our analysis, as well as 18 meta-analysis and systematic literature reviews. Finally, after quality checks have been analyzed, these in sense also cover different studies in terms of the effectiveness of LMPs. We also reviewed and built a repository of recent developments where evidence is not so robust in terms of what works really in terms of AI in test skills and jobs matching, but there is a lot of new developments in this area, so we also gathered this for the evidence base. As you have seen in the presentation of Flavia, there are four key elements of the determinants of LMP's effectiveness framework in our study. First, the program design and implementation. This category is really about the structural features of LMPs. Type of the LMP, like job matching or training, duration, targeting, integration of measures, and consistency. I will show you in detail what we included there in this proposed framework. Then there is a group referring to target groups, as you have seen also in the presentation, because we have various target groups, but divided not only by the gender or age or situation on the labor market, but also around the skill levels, for example, because different interventions work differently for different categories of recipients, or people with special needs or vulnerable groups, like people with disabilities or migrants. So this is all included in the target group characteristics element of our framework. Then there is an important part which says that for the evaluation and policy feedback, so how really the LMPs are being analyzed, and if they are included in the feedback loop in terms of understanding what works and how these LMPs can be redesigned in order to effectively work, is also a part of the proposed policy framework here. And the last thing, last but not least, I think very important category, are the contextual and institutional conditions. We know that, of course, from the framework that for general economic level of the country is important factor, but also the spending on ALMPs can influence its effectiveness. But also the capacity of PES or other implementing organization influences the effectiveness of the active labor market policies. So let me now go into more details. I will not read it out loud everything, but as you can see, in terms of the program design and implementation element, this first area, we have really included possibly, I'm not saying everything, but really variety of different determinants that form or can influence, form the backbone, or can influence in a way how effective the active labor market policies are. So, for example, type or mode of delivery, work first approaches, where we try to direct recipients directly to the labor market, or rather the skills first approach, now very important in PES, upskilling before placement, or individuals basis group support, program intensity and duration, targeting mechanisms, how we really try to understand who needs support, employer involvement, service integration with other case management. So, for example, what we have already had today, social health or childcare services referrals, or integration of all the services, but also mental health support, which is very important. Then skill acquisition and recognition procedures within the framework, and formal certifications, soft skills development, or other elements of the framework. Also participation and completion rates, service quality, some behavioral incentives like monitoring of the job search, and behaviors of the people within the programs, activation contracts, or even conditionality and sanctions. So it means what happens really about the people who are not active and are not trying actively to look for a job. Second group, of course, as I mentioned, is about the target group characteristics, and these determinants, as I have said, cover not only gender, labor market status, but also education and skill level, migration or minority background, health status or disability, motivation and activation level, other vulnerabilities like being a single parent or ex-offender, or other forms, or subgroup disintegration and matching, meaning that whether the policies we offer are really granular in approaching the target groups, or as we have heard from the keynote today, there are countries when only 2 programs are really existing and are being targeted at everyone. So this is really important if we understand and we have the policy that actually matches the needs of the different target groups. Third point, evaluation and policy feedbacks. It means, how robust really our evaluation system is in terms of giving us the evidence of what works and under what conditions. So, for example, I think that the biggest issue here is the tracking of negative effects, whether our policies actually not only help, but can, in a sense, have some adverse effects like displacement of the people that should be supported, or the substitution, or other elements. And we looked at that, and there is evidence in data showing that negative effects exist, but not all of the policies are really analyzed towards this elements. And the last point is of course, contextual and institutional conditions. So it means that from the very top level, like the level of economic development, so all labor market demands dynamics, which really affect how our active labor market policies are effective in a sense, to a more specified issues like institutional capacity of public employment services, systems they are using, staffing, elements of the services, administrative complexity, or digital infrastructure that the organizations are using. This all really affect them, or can affect the effectiveness of active labor market policies. If there will be need, of course, during our discussions, we can come back to any point here, or any element of our framework for further in-depth look. I try to be brief because I really want to leave some enough time for the discussion. So the discussion that I want to lead with you is around two questions. First, are the determinants of ALMP's effectiveness identified by us in the framework sufficient to explain why outcomes differ across different policies? And the second, which factors and dimensions could help better to capture the variations in effectiveness across different policy designs, target groups, regional or institutional settings? Because we know that one size does not fit all, right? We have to be very specific in specifying the target groups, etc. But in building a comprehensive framework like we do, maybe we are missing something in a sense of how to further make it a more granular and how to support individual job seekers. For this, in our discussion, we will try to make some notes too, so that we can report to the plenary when we finish our discussion. And Kasia will be taking some notes on that while we discuss. So the floor is yours. If you want to, we can use the raised hand icon or whatever. Any observations around these 2 points, please share it with us. I will monitor the initiative here. So who would like to start? Or, I mean, not everyone at once, please.
Okay, I'll break the ice.
Yes, thank you.
I have well, my name is Jordi Sanz. I'm working in public in EU-ALMPO, Public Policy Evaluation Institute in Catalonia, and I would like to know if you have a kind of theory of change of active labor market policies, and if you have an impact structure. I mean, for example, if you take the group of young people 16, 20, the immediate outcome is not going back to the job market, but going back to the educational system. So if these people go back to the job market when they are 30, that's a success. So I don't know if you have this, because thinking in effectiveness, it's not only in terms of job market outcomes, but maybe for some groups and for some populations, there are intermediate outcomes that could be as important as job market integration. Thank you.
Thank you for this.
And congratulations for your work.
Yeah, thank you so much for a more detailed clarification, because we based our work basically on what's available in terms of the evidence on the effectiveness. And actually, you know, most of the studies that we have reviewed focus mostly on the final outcomes, right? These are not always employment outcomes. This can be outcomes in terms for increasing the skill level or increasing the efforts to find a job. But you know, it is really hard to answer your question whether these individual studies had any theory of change in the design, because there is no information on that. We have some theory of change for our project, and this is a part of our evaluation framework, what we want to achieve through our work, but it does not apply really to the studies that we have analyzed, because honestly, I didn't find any study with the clearly defined theory of change on how this approach would work, at least hypothesized, right, framework, because it's rather, this is what we do, this is what was achieved, right? But I think the point you raised on the intermediate outcomes is very important, right? And that the outcomes are not really or only focused on employment outcomes, right? And I think this is very important for us. This is what you meant, I mean, or have I answered your?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, and will you publish your systematic review or somewhere?
Yes,
because
hopefully
really
we are working on that. So the report itself will be probably available as the deliverable of our work, of our project. But also we want to publish some parts of it, you know, as a part of the journal, because it was really a lot of work there. Thank you so much. I can see Martin Noack. Yes, please.
Yes, hello. Thank you also from my side, Martin Noack from Bertelsmann Stiftung in Germany, for this introduction. I have a couple of reactions. I hope I get them all together. So the first one is what I just heard from the speaker before me. What your general analytical framework is probably lacking is a box or whatever not about the indicators of effectiveness. You're talking about determinants of effectiveness, but what is effectiveness actually? Maybe this needs to be listed, and then we can answer exactly the questions that we just had. Is it effective to get someone off the street immediately? Yes. But is it more effective to get them off the street long term? Yes. And is it more effective to get them high waged off the street? Even more so. So a list of those indicators of effectiveness would need to be somehow included, I would say, in the general framework, unless I've overlooked it, and then it's my bad. The second point that I want to make, I just went through one of the active labor market policies that we have in Germany to try whether this works, what you're proposing here, and which is a partial qualification, an incentivized partial qualification framework. The idea is there. Employers get up to 100% of the labor costs replaced by the state if they take a person without a formal qualification, formal vet qualification, and put them step by step through a process of qualification, at which end they will then have a full qualification. But the innovative part is that they do it step by step in 5 to 7 steps, partial qualifications, and already one partial qualification, which could take 2 to 6 months, would be gets this public incentives. And now the question is this all there that what we need? And there's one element that I haven't seen in your lots of information in very short time now, which is if you look at training. And I would say it's a key determinant of the program. So it's the first thing, program design. And then you have the formal certification, which is certainly relevant, but the stackability of educational achievements, I think this will be an additional determinant. If you just put any people to any training, they might just be unemployed later. But if they can stack each educational bit, be it a micro partial credential, a micro credit or something like that, or a full partial degree or something like that, then this will be much more effective in the long run. So I would include as one of the determinants the stackability of educational attainments. And then the last thing that I wanted to say refers more, if I may, to the general model. What you've shown us here, I think this is understandable, although I wish I had half an hour more time to look at all the things that you just showed us in the last 4 slides. But if you look at the general model, I think the elements of your overall analytical framework can be well argued for. But the interaction of them, I think, like to me, and I don't know how the others have seen it, there was no added value, added explanatory value of the arrows that you had and how these elements are organized. So maybe if there's time, we can engage in a deeper discussion, or maybe you just use all your big AI know-how that you have in the project to ask AI, how can we visualize our analytical framework in a more understandable way so that the system makes a bit more sense. The elements are all important, but the interaction of them and how they build on each other and what feeds into what and whether there's a cycle or not and so on and so forth. I think there would be work to be done in order for me to see the added value. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much for this valuable comments. I agree that we don't have too much time to discuss, so we cannot present really everything. Just let me just assure you that we have also analyzed in the studies that are available different indicators of effectiveness. So short-term, long-term, medium-term employment effects, employability increase, for example. The decreasing distance to the labor market, increase of work productivity, individual income increase, decrease in poverty rate, etc., etc., etc. But what we really did is look for this evidence in the studies. So, in reality, we know that there is a very different way to measure the effects of and outcomes of active labor market policies, but reality shows that only a few of them are actually used. So, this is why we want to build a kind of more comprehensive framework and probably, if possible, populate it with data, to see and to enable really the policymakers to use these different approaches. But of course, it's up to them. We know how hard it is to measure some of the outcomes. If you're right, if in terms of the stackability or micro-credentials, but our review, this is some new point, I would say, to add, to mention in the future, because in majority of the public employment services, unfortunately, the micro-credentials are something completely new. Like, usually there are training courses that are disconnected from each other, and you cannot really build a full qualification based on that. And we don't have much evidence, but I know it is important, and so thank you for that point. For the general model, it is a very complicated, to build really the relational model, right? In a sense, because it's like, there are so many variables there. It's really, I would love to have understanding better how, the labor market conditions influence the effectiveness at the end of somebody getting high or decreasing the poverty rate. But we all know that it is a multi-stage process. So you are right to say we try to build a general idea. We try to see some connections. So we know, for example, in terms of our analysis, in terms of our meta review, what works for different groups or how they affect it. But really, we need this AI support, as you are saying. So basically, I would say we have a team, but it's not even for one person to understand, not even for the team to really get into a full model. So that's exactly our idea, to use to feed it with the data, to test it. We did manual handed annotations, as I would say, what works in different studies. And now we will feed it into the model and see how it works really. What the AI tells us a little bit more, or shows us some interconnections that we are not aware of. So this is interesting part. But I agree with you that this is very demanding in terms of the building a comprehensive relational model of all these determinants. So
okay,
yeah,
hello.
absolutely agree.
I cannot hear you now. I hope you can hear me well.
We can hear you. Yes, yes. Please, if you want to add something, please go on.
Yeah, we'll try.
Oops.
I think it was somebody from outside, let's say, of our world or group.
No, I think they just were rejoined.
Maybe Anna Pawłowska.
I hope you can hear me now.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, Katarzyna Chramińska and Anna Pawłowska from Voivodeship Labor, from Voivodeship Labor Office. We would like to refer to the second question, so which factors and dimensions could help to better capture. So what Ania thinks is that really important is a research of needs, of trends and changes when it comes to employers and businesses. So then there is possibility to capture the competences that they are needed, not only now, but also in the nearest future, and in terms of 10 or 15 years. Therefore, we can react for the needs of the market faster and connect people with employers. So it is really important to provide a long life learning system to be able to react for the needs of the market really fast, because it is really easy for people who are highly educated, whose material status is really high. It's quite easy for them to change their skills and to match the branch that is really that needs skilled workers. The most important issue here is try to put the emphasis on the groups that are not capable to upskill, reskill, and change their qualifications. So these are dimensions that could be taken into consideration, and then it is possible to create a policy.
Thank you so much. So yeah, very important points.
Okay,
I mean the quality and access to not only on the time labor market intelligence, skills intelligence, but also to the future trends. I think this is a challenge in many countries, right? I mean, if we don't know what is going to happen in the foreseeable future, we don't have a good forecast. It's really hard to build an active labor market policy, especially in terms of reskilling or upskilling. But I think also the very important point is, what to do with the groups that actually are not capable, as you said, or not willing to reskill or upskill in terms of, our support, because, there is quite a lot of such people in every country. So then the effectiveness of the active labor market policy can be really low, right? In terms of whatever we do, we are not able to do this without different supports. Okay, thank you so much for that. I can see Heraklis Siulis. So yes, please.
Yes, thank you. I'm Herakles Toulis from Greece, from the Hellenic Federation of Enterprises, from the Educational Department. I want to highlight on something that you also told, that what we are trying to do here, what is the answer that are we called to answer? Because we can see that we have thousands of policies, and our global problem is that we are full of thinkers, but at the end of the day, we don't have enough doers. The policy is not a hard thing to make, but a policy that will lead to change. It's very hard to implement, because we can see in every action that we do that every stakeholder has a different agenda. The agenda of the politician is totally different from the agenda of the academia, or of the network, or of the labor market, or of the workers. When we speak about effectiveness, which is the answer that we are trying to answer? Who is happy with this? Are all these people engaged on this system? And do we have our feedback and their will to do this change? Do we have agreed on specific things, or we don't have a common understanding on what we are going to do? Because if we don't answer this very basic thing that is in the core of our discussion, we were making another one policy that will not lead to results. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, I think, we cannot, of course, answer for the politicians, right, and their perspective. But I see a very important point here, that we need to be matching different agendas of different stakeholders, in fact. And I think this is a very vital point, because in the end, as you have seen in the model, the effects, as you ask, whom we want to make happy. We want to make happy the final beneficiaries, not only the policymakers. So somebody who, is at the need of changing a vocation or a job, or is trying to reskill, or is trying to get a job, or is trying to build a career. So this is the final recipient of the policies, disregarding whether he's not interested really, but we are. He's not interested how and in what ways he was helped, in a sense, right? So, but the model here, of course, it's a model that helps to navigate, for me, the complexity, in a sense. Because if I am the researcher in this area for many years now, and if you ask me, what is the best policy to helping young needs unemployed in the rural area? No, it's not an easy answer to that. So in a sense, there is a lot of different information, a lot of different studies, a lot of different policies, as you said. But we want to, to build a tool that goes beyond human capacity to answer this question, to integrate, to propose, to discuss, to build a policy that actually fits within the specific conditions to the needs of this final recipient. So not something I believe works, but that does have a sort of backup from different perspectives that I myself, as the policymaker, was not even aware it exists. Yeah, so in a sense, we cannot answer for politicians if they will use this support model correctly, or even for researchers, but we want to go one step beyond the current reviews that we do, right? I mean, to bring new value and added value. But of course, it's just a tool. So as with every tool, you can use it properly or not. But I agree with you that, meeting different agendas of stakeholders, trying to find the common equation is really a challenge in that model.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes.
But I remember myself speaking about micro-credentials for the last 5 years. And after 5 years, no one knows this time what the microcredential is, how it's going to be implemented, nothing, because the concept started as something very simple for the industry, a standard, and then we had the academia which, with its own agenda, who said it's going to replace our diplomas, and then we have the organizations that they were giving certifications. We had another agenda, and nowadays we are talking about micro-credentials, and the shape that we have given them is more complicated than the other shapes, something that we wanted to avoid at the beginning of. So I think that this is a very crucial thing, to have a common understanding between all the stakeholders of what the thing is, because everyone has its agenda in his mind and has a different perception of what we are trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. I think it also relates to active labor market policies. If you look from the perspective of the person working at the public employment service or employer or somebody else, it looks totally different in a sense, right? So I agree that we need to be very clear also about what we are really proposing and what we want to do. Martin, please, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, and reflecting on what Heracles said, maybe under the number 4, the contextual and institutional conditions, something like interaction with academia or updating through actual knowledge or something could be added, unless you understand this already under governance and coordination. But maybe it's a point of its own, the link between labor market knowledge on the one hand side and labor market policy on the other hand. And I mean, your whole project exists because this link is not very strong, and in order to make it more permanent. And so one could argue that if this were stronger, then maybe the effectiveness would be higher. I mean, this is why you're doing it. Just as a thought.
Thank you so much. Yes, we could probably look into more like coordination of different or gaining mutual understanding of what the policy serves really, right? Under this,
it's the link.
How would you formulate it?
Yeah, I would probably. My point would be the interaction or the information flow from labor market know-how and knowledge building in academia on the one hand, and the policy making on the other hand. So the usage of up-to-date labor market know-how, something like this, is a institutional determinant of effectiveness. Those few things that we know should at least be used. If they are not, that's difficult. And of course,
I'm smiling because I work so many years in this, and
I know, and you know so little. I know. And the digger you deep, the less you know. But the other thing that one could say is, as a determinant of effectiveness, the amount of knowledge that has been generated. So that's two different things. If you have a strong academic sector that really focuses on labor market effectiveness, then there's the knowledge, which is the precondition to more evidence-based labor market policies. And then the second precondition would be that this knowledge actually makes its way into policy, towards policymakers, which is exactly what your project tries to do. So these two elements I would, out of self-interest, add to determinants of effectiveness of labor market policies, but also because they are.
Thank you so much. Yes, I mean, if we are starting to have too much knowledge or too much evidence, at least. Sometimes we are not aware of it. But for example, you must know that there is actually Austrian database on effectiveness of public market policies, which has 6,000 documents. And I mean, browsing through this is really difficult. The quality, of course, we can argue, but I'm sure you made the right point. I mean, the transfer was always a challenge. I mean, how to use this knowledge in policy making. We have the hand raised, Anna Pawłowska and Miss Katarzyna Chromińska. Can you unmute yourselves?
Yes, but I won't turn the camera on because we have some technical issues. If we turn the camera, we won't hear you. So yes, I would like to refer to what Martin has said, and of course to you. That is the knowledge what labor market instrument has to design the program to run the policy is really important because from our own labor market we can say that we already have some instruments and it's not about the documents that to read, it's about sharing the information, because you can read thousands of documents and it just needs a couple of emails to exchange with a person who works with those like policies, instruments, and so on, to know what we have. Because, for example, here in Pomerania, we conducted a research and we already have like intelligence specializations of Pomerania, and we know what is the need, what is the demand for what jobs, what professions, what skills. So we don't need to search in the documents. I can tell you right away. And we already have the research, and we have sectors that already need some specialists. There is going to be another research conducted. So it's not only about the documents to focus, it's about cooperation, I think.
Thank you so much for this intervention. Can you mute yourself? Yes. Yeah, I agree, because we are not proposing, in a sense a new research. It's rather integration of knowledge and cooperation about that, and the knowledge about something that really exists. Because I mean, sometimes there are good practices shared, but we don't have that information readily available. But I agree that the cooperation here is key for the as an important element of the effectiveness. As you have seen, we have 5 minutes, but there is still some people maybe who would like to intervene. I have like Roberto and Rafael. Maybe we want to say something before we will have to wrap up. Yes, please, Roberto.
Just a little comment about my experience in developing regional observatory on labor market in Italy. In our experience, there is a key point, that is transformation of data in information. And then if you build up an observatory based on administrative data, big data, surveys, everyone you want in an automatic way with artificial intelligence, you have always the problem that you have to compare this data, these forecasting models, this data information. You need to share it, to discuss this data with local stakeholders, because the changes in the local market are very, very difficult to be understood from a data point of view only. And then you have to work with the local stakeholder and local companies to understand which is the trends, which will be the investments, the private investments in the territory. People are interested to find work next to their house, not leaving their regions, their territory. Then they are interested to the opportunities in the territory. Then to understand this, to transform the data that you can find with job vacancies, informations, big data, administrative data, and surveys are interesting, but you have to mix with a good knowledge of public investment and private investment in the next 3 years in the territory, and understand how the labor market will go following the industries and the and the public investments. And then this is not easy because it needs to intermediate the data, the information. You can use a dashboard to understand everything, but you have to, or automatic tools, but you have to make stakeholder engagement and discussion. That's my point of view.
Great, thank you so much for sharing this. I absolutely agree. We also have another work package in which we have not touched today upon, which is the work package 2, where we want to understand really and engage local stakeholders. So we do 10 in-depth case studies on the skills matching in all of the partner countries, 2 per country, when we really want to understand, what works for whom and how this is really coordinated. So we will get to the stakeholders then, trying to build a community of practice. And if you want to get involved at this level, you are also very much welcome. So it's the next step we are now taking in the projects, that not only looking at the big picture and the studies, but also trying to get down to I'm looking at the chat now. Yes, the Germany is part of it. Yes, Germany is part of our team. The Tavistock Institute Germany is a partner and will be doing the case studies also in Germany. I'm sure. I'm not sure if we can accommodate any more. Maybe Raphael.
We can go a little bit further. I'm okay. In contact with the other 2 rooms, so we can proceed some minutes
All right,
more.
Because they will not kick us out from here yet. Okay, thank you. So any other points, Raphael, Statis?
No, thank you. I'm listening. I have nothing to add at the moment.
Okay, thank you so much.
No,
Statis, would you like to share?
Okay, Lucas. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, Martin, please.
Well, then instead of typing, I just say it because you were talking about this local initiatives and good practice examples. Maybe our job monitor, which is a online job vacancy analysis tool that is now going more and more regional in terms of like interacting with the regional stakeholders in order to understand what they need in terms of labor market knowledge in order to make more use of it to reduce skills mismatches. And if it's interesting for you or for Tavistock, I can try to hook you up with my colleagues who are dealing with the regions of Hanover and München and Brandenburg, I think are the 3 regions where we are active. So one very rural one to other ones that are heavily impacted by transformation in terms of automotive industry. So maybe this one of those regions might be interesting for being among the 2 that you select for Germany, just as an added benefit, maybe.
Great, very much appreciated. If we will transfer the information to the German partners. But in any case, we are always looking for some data sets and other information to include, because our model is really dependent on the data too. So, but of course, the data like from the job monitoring, job vacancies, it's not an open data, right? The problem is we cannot sometimes use it due to the GDPR, and there are constraints in using, currently existing data. But I'm sure that we can, if you have some sort of reports, analysis, and something like that from the job monitor, we can already try to use it in our repository. Very much interested in that.
I mean, the thing is this, we buy the data, the online job vacancy data, and then we make it accessible publicly. So,
but individual, at the aggregate level.
At the aggregate level, yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But free of charge, because we are a private foundation who contributes as an NGO and not as a company for money. So maybe that might be still useful for you guys.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. We will make our technical leader aware of the data sets and to always looking for new ideas. Anything else to sum up? Kasia, you made the notes. right? Maybe we can share the screen.
Yes, I could put it to the chat, maybe.
But have you done it in the slides already?
Actually, not, because there was mess, so I put it to my Word. But I still may share it with you. Let me think. It's probably this. I hope there are not.
Just so that we look what we came up with.
I hope there are not many orthographical mistakes.
No problem.
I didn't share it to those two questions because the discussion was very lively, let's say, and we could put this there or back. But generally, we started with the question, actually, what is the definition of effectiveness, and also what are the indicators? Because here we talked about determinants. Then we have the voice about theory of change, and also to take into consideration the temporal structure of outcomes. So there was the final or intermediate results, or what might happen after long time after this training. Martin, if I remember, it was you who said about stackability of educational achievements, and also about the partial gratification frameworks.
Qualification. It must have changed you.
Okay.
I mean, the autocorrect.
Yeah, probably. Okay, I will change in a moment. And you also described those 5 and 7 steps, yeah? Which one step might be, I don't know if it's very important, Łukasz, tell me, that one step is about 3 to 5 months, if I am not wrong, 6 even. Also, Martin indicate that they are not like clear what are the interaction between the 4 parts of analytical model. And Katarzyna and Anna from our labor office mention about, where I am here now, trends and changes in the labor market, including anticipated future needs and demands. And also emphasize that we should consider group with limited or no opportunities, capabilities, or you said willing even for reskilling or upskilling. And there was also important voice about enhancing the link between labor market research and policy making. I put it in that word, even if you, Martin, describe it really much wider. And also about cooperation and information exchange of existing tools, policies, trainings, and so on, what Anna and Katarzyna indicate. This is what I.
Thank you. I think very comprehensive. Yeah, we have to be moving back to the plenary now, right, Elena?
Okay. Yeah. We just can exit the room and we will be back there.
Okay, we have some also information in the chat, and we will use it. I have my notes, so it's just, on the go.
I will share the transcription too with you.
Sure, great. Thank you. We will try to take all your comments into the final framework. You have to finalize it pretty soon now.